week's edition of the Comic Hero Show. I'm your host, Victor Nunley, and I am Comic Hero. Coming to you from Uncharacteristic Studios, and I hope y'all enjoyed episode 225. In that episode, of course, I raised awareness of spinal muscular atrophy, and I'm not done with that, folks. I'm also going to be raising awareness of different causes throughout not just the rest of the year, but year-round. If there's any cause that I can raise awareness of, I'm going to do it. Just like next month, I'm going to raise awareness of polycystic ovarian syndrome, or PCOS, because there's a lot of women that live with that, and it's horrible. Because when a woman has PCOS, it's hard for them to conceive, and I can only imagine how devastating that might be. So I do this. I raise awareness of all these causes, to show people love, to show them that I'm there for them, and that and to give them encouragement, because that's just the way I was brought up. If you can help somebody, help them, and that's what I plan on doing for the rest of my life. I mean, yeah, this is a web series that's mostly about comics or anything within that realm, but I'm also here to help people. And I will not stop. Alright, it's time to give away a free t-shirt. Alright, last week's episode I asked, true or false, Jubilee was originally created for the X-Men animated series that premiered in 1992. Well, the correct answer is false. She actually made her debut in Uncanny X-Men number 244 in 1989, which was 3 years before the animated series even came out. As a matter of fact, the only thing X-Men related that came out that year was a pilot episode of an X-Men series that never launched, and it was one episode called Pride of the X-Men, which mainly centered around Kitty Pryde. But Jubilee made her debut in 1989, and then was one of the characters that they used in the animated series throughout its run all the way from 1992 to 1997. Well, the correct answer is false. And 11 people have answered correctly, and because they've answered correctly, their names have been entered in a drawing for a free tee. And that drawing takes place right now. So, the winner of the free tee for this week's episode of the show is Daniel Lee from West Monroe, Louisiana. So congratulations, Daniel. We win yourself a free Comic Hero tee. Alright, here's the question for next week's episode, and it's a Fantastic Four question, and this one is very easy. Which Fantastic Four villain was Mr. Fantastic's college roommate? And here's a hint, if it's not so easy for you. He was the villain in every Fantastic Four movie that ever came out. Everyone who answers correctly has been entered in a drawing for a free tee for next week's episode of the show. So, I gotta ask, any questions?
Questions I walk around in. Questions I didn't thrive in. Questions I will survive in. Questions.
Alright, I only have one question for this week. It's for Robert Freeman from West Monroe, Louisiana. He asked, I'm wondering if they seem to be almost building back towards the X-Men team type that they had around issue 244 or 245 before the Siegel Peralta story. They recently brought Havoc back to good and brought Dazzler back, and now this book they have resurrected the old Psylocke, and then she is now back to her old body type instead of Kawan's body, which ironically is also alive again with someone in it. I don't know who yet, but I'm just wondering, since they're about to bring Uncanny X-Men back, are they going to try to go back to the team roster and type of story? Well, Robert, it looks like they are. Now, I'm a little too young to have read that story arc. When at the time that was going on, I was almost 8 years old, and but I did a little research, and I found out that I saw the lineup that they had, and it's kind of it's really evident in the Astonishing X-Men book. Because the lineup in that book happens to be Havoc, Dazzler, Colossus, and Beast. Now, who knows? They may be going back to that mold. But there's a miniseries going on that's in print for Marvel right now called Extermination. And in it, a younger version of Cable kills himself, the older version of himself, and several other mutants. And I don't know, but one thing about X-Men, about the X-Men that I've always that's always evident is that they're always under attack. They never really have any of those easy story arcs like all the other Marvel characters do. The X-Men is usually the character that always gets attacked the most, and I really don't know what they're trying to do, but it looks like in Astonishing X-Men that they may be going back to that. Now, it hasn't really been speculated as to who's going to be in Uncanny X-Men, but I can't wait to find out when it comes out in November. All right, that's it for any questions. If you have any questions you want to ask me, contact info is down there. All right, now Kenny Baldridge from Warren, Ohio has requested a Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown fight, and this one features the world's greatest superhero against Filmation's last superhero. Representing Marvel, we have Spider-Man. And representing Filmation, we have Bravestar. These two are going to duke it out in a segment I like to call
The Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown.
Welcome to the Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown. Today it's Spider-Man versus Bravestar. Spider-Man possesses genius-level intellect, is a proficient scientist and inventor, superhuman strength, speed, durability, and agility, the ability to cling to most surfaces, precognitive spider sense, and utilizes wrist web shooters to shoot spiderweb material. Bravestar possesses adaptation, agility, marksmanship, stamina, is a weapons master, eyes of the hawk, allowing him to see great distances, ears of the wolf, endowing him with super hearing, strength of the bear, granting him super strength, and speed of the puma, endowing him with super speed. Who will win? This would be a fight where the two would have a hard time landing hits on each other, considering their power sets. After minutes of this, Bravestar calls upon his equalizer, his means of transportation / deputy android horse, 3030. As 3030 tries to ambush Spider-Man, the latter's spider sense goes off and he catches him. Spidey webs him up and hits Bravestar with him. In the process, Spidey stuns Bravestar but destroys 3030. This angers Bravestar and he tries to sucker punch Spider-Man. Spidey avoids the attack and says, "Look, I'm an inventor. I can rebuild him." Bravestar says, "You better, or I'll rebuild your face." This fight ends in a draw. And that concludes this fight on the Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown. Alright, well, I hope you enjoyed that fight, and if you have fight requests for future episodes, contact info is down there. Alright, y'all, it's time for Comically Speaking, so without further ado, let's talk comics! Alright, there are three things we're going to talk about in this segment of Comically Speaking, and the first one is Conan the Barbarian. Now, Marvel has announced that there will be a new Conan the Barbarian series coming later on this year, and it's going to be the first one in 25 years. Now, the previous series originally ran from 1970 until 1993, and there have been different publishers that have had the rights to Conan the Barbarian, but they just haven't matched the success that Marvel did in its first run. And with the creative team that they have, I think they're going to I think they're going to even be better than they've ever. They're probably going to do better than the previous run. All right, here's who's going to be on there. It's going to be written by Jason Aaron, who has done nothing but make Thor awesome, and he's currently writing the Avengers book as well. And it's going to be done, and the artwork is going to be done by Mahmoud Asrar, who has penciled issues of Supergirl and X-Men Red, and then one of my favorite artists who is like a complete boss when it comes to painted interior artwork is Saad Rivich. Now, when I found out that it was coming back, I'm thinking, all right, I don't think I'm going to read this. This isn't exactly my cup of tea. But when I found out about these guys being on there, Oh, you best believe I'm going to read that book. But Conan the Barbarian, coming soon to Marvel for the first time since 1993. All right, here's the second thing. The season premiere of Iron Fist is coming soon to Netflix, and it's going to feature a classic Marvel villain that who originally made their debut in the pages of Daredevil, and I'm talking about Typhoid Mary. Now, Typhoid Mary, whose real name is Mary Walker, is a Class A assassin who has some kind of identity crisis, and one of the most deadliest villains I've ever seen from Marvel. And you're probably wondering who's playing Typhoid Mary? Alice Eve. Now, if the name doesn't sound familiar, she's been in played different roles on both the small and the big screen. Most recently, she played the role of Dr. Carol Marcus in Star Trek Into Darkness back in 2013. And now, I never really watched season 1 of Iron Fist. The only time I ever saw Iron Fist was in The Defenders. But with Typhoid Mary being in there, Typhoid Mary happens to be one of the most deadliest and most intriguing Marvel villains I've ever seen. So I think I may want to check that out. You should too. Iron Fist coming soon. Season 2 of Iron Fist coming soon to Netflix. All right, here's the last thing, and this is a very awesome thing that I just stumbled on a few hours ago. Now, Constantine was a short-lived series, but it's coming back as an animated series on the CW, and you may not want to get your kids to watch this, because there's going to be a lot of violence, a lot of cursing, and a lot of suggestive dialogue. It's actually premiering this fall on the CW on October 15th, which is the same day as the season premiere of Arrow. It actually premieres right after Arrow, and you're probably wondering who's going to play the voice of Constantine. Matt Ryan, the guy that played the voice of him on the live action series. Oh, by the way, this is not the Matt Ryan that plays for the Atlanta Falcons. This is the actor Matt Ryan. And I think I may want to check that out too. But Constantine coming this fall, October 15th to the CW. The anime series, that is. Alright, that's it for Comically Speaking. Now then, let's get to the comics I bought this week.
Comic books I bought this week.
Alright, first up is Action Comics number 1002. The Amazing Spider-Man number 4. Avengers number 6. The Flash number 53. Teen Titans number 21. X-Men Red number 7. X-Men Gold number 34. Wonder Woman number 53. And finally, West Coast Avengers number 1. Alright, that's 9, which brings the total number of comics that I bought since December of 1997 to 8,806. Alright, well, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. And here's the question again for a free tee for next week's episode of the show. Which Fantastic Four villain was Mr. Fantastic's college roommate? Everyone who answers correctly will be in the drawing for a free tee in next week's episode of the show. And congratulations to Daniel Lee from West Monroe, Louisiana, who won a free tee in this week's episode. Alright, 8,862. Now, if my math is correct, I am 138 away from 9,000. Now, 138, that's still a lot of books. I don't buy them I really don't. I don't buy a lot of them. There are certain books I read, but it's coming. It's coming. And when I get to the episode where I get to 9,000 comics, I really want to do it big. If any of y'all have any suggestions, please let me know. All right. Here's the road ahead for the show. Next week, I'm going to be. I'm going to wear a special comic hero tee. Now, football season's coming up. You know, I love football season, especially college football. And I'm going to be wearing tees based on some of my favorite high school, college, and professional teams. And so y'all stay tuned for that. And then the week after that, I'm going to be raising awareness of polycystic ovarian syndrome. That's going to be episode 228. Like I said, I love raising awareness to certain causes. Now, it may not be causes like it may not be causes that. I mean, it could be anything. It could be breast cancer awareness. It could be PCOS awareness. It could be SMA awareness. I mean, that's just how I am. I'm a very, very compassionate person. And I love people, and I want to help anyone that I can. And I have no regrets for doing so. That's just me in a nutshell. I mean, I love sharing my love. I enjoy sharing my love for comics with y'all, but I also want y'all to know that I'm also a very caring person who's willing to help and really willing to show love and support to anyone I can. And I will keep doing that as long as I'm doing the show. And I will keep doing the show until I am physically unable to. Alright, I'm Victor Nunley. I'm the Comic Hero. I'll see you next week for episode 227. So until then, be safe, be blessed, be a hero!